Former Labor Senator Stephen Conroy. Now, Stephen, good to see you. Chelsea lost on the weekend, United wins. It's always a good time to talk to you. What are your contacts telling you about what's in this Solicitor General's review?
Well, look, I'm hearing very much what's starting to come out publicly, and that's that there is, not an illegality, but just a breach of every convention. And for a government that claimed it was conservative, it wants to protect the institutions, it trashed democracy. And that's why it is actually important. It is actually important that, in the election, there's two big issues. First was around cost of living, and the second was around integrity. And this goes to the core of integrity. People have to trust their institutions to do the right thing. And when the Prime Minister leads a charge to overturn that and hide and lack of transparency, you can understand why people want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Sure. This is the real test for Peter Dutton. I would suspect that the most likely event is that there'll be a referral of Scott Morrison to the Privileges Committee of Parliament, because each day the Speaker asks if there are any change to administrative arrangements. And while all of these changes were in place, the Prime Minister stood there and said no. So he has misled Parliament every single day. And that's a serious issue, and the Privileges Committee. So the test for Peter Dutton is knowing it's wrong, saying it's wrong, is he prepared to refer the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, to the Privileges Committee? That's where the real test is going to come for Peter Dutton.
But just so how vigorously should the Prime Minister and the government, for that matter, pursue this? Because you've got someone at the moment who's trying to get a business together and can't get staff. Are they in danger of being forgotten about at the moment? They would rightfully be miffed if the focus isn't on saving businesses and continuing to focus on business.
Well, the good news is, this government, as the polls are showing and the people are responding to, can walk and chew gum. They can actually put in place the changes to transparency to ensure this sort of appalling behaviour doesn't happen again, and run a job summit. There's a lot of negotiations and discussions taking place right now between all the different groups, the civil society, the trade union movement, the business community. They're all engaged in conversations today. The good news is they're not broadcasting them. It's always a good sign when people aren't leaking to the newspapers trying to position themselves, because there's real intent and desire from all of those groups, the government included, to get outcomes in the summit. And those outcomes are about getting more skilled workers, about getting more workers for those businesses that you're talking about. And so this government can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Okay, so sorry, Stephen, I just want to bring our viewers up to speed here. That shot there at the bottom of your screen, that's the whale, it's free. So there's some good news this morning. Everybody's relieved about that. There's the good people at SeaWorld. They've done their job, now they're heading back home. I just have one more question for you, Stephen, back on migration. How much of that needs to be increased in your view, or does the priority need to be in restoring the amount of visa processes in the Home Affairs Department that was gutted by the former government, because you've got this huge backlog of people who are waiting months, if not years, to get in?
No, look, those cuts were just so brain dead that it's hard to describe. I mean, Australia is a country that wants to have economic growth, that wants to continue to fulfil its destiny, needs to increase its population. So we've got this massive backlog, and when that's cleared through, we're still going to need to have a discussion about the level of migration. I'm very hopeful that we'll see a consensus come through. I don't expect the Greens to be on board for this. They're the flat earth party when it comes to immigration. Pauline Hanson and the Greens are on the same unity ticket. But what this country needs is an increase in both the quantity as well as the quality in terms of skilled migration, so it can fulfil its opportunities. So I think that both of those things are needed for Australia to begin to grow at a decent rate.
Stephen Conroy, good to chat as always. We'll talk to you soon.